Welcome, everyone. I'm Heather Fleming, founder of Conscious Nutrition, and I am so delighted and excited to share John Oppinisky's work with you, aka the Lymph Man. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about lymph, and I know the importance of it, but he said one sentence, like in one of our calls we met a few months ago, and how it's the sewage system of our body. And when he said that, a lot of bells went off. So I asked if I could interview him. I want to learn more. I want to share his work with you all because being healthy is quite an adventure and wild ride. So welcome, John, and welcome everyone. New people coming in, we are recording just in case you don't want to have your video on, FYI. So welcome, take it away, John.
How you doing, Heather? Thank you for having me. You're right. We need to understand the lymphatic system, right? For
Yeah.
for for us since the beginning of time, we have not included a system that's meant to clean us. And do you think that is why we possibly have a lot of anxiety, depression? We have people who can't sleep. We have children with autism. We have people who can't think as they get older. Do you think if we understood how to clean our body and our brain that we might not have these problems? So I'm glad you have me on. I really do love to help people change their lives with the lymphatic system, and it's an easy system.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy. People get like, "What is that?" Most people, I ask them, "Do you know about the lymph system?" I mean, they don't know what it is. One person said, "Is that a software system?" Wow, it's unbelievable, and it really starts with our medical system, and I'm not against the medical system. I love my doctor. I wanna, them to help me get healthy, but if you wanna get healthy, you gotta include the lymphatic system because 'cause they're not talking about
Right.
it, unless you get cancer or you get edema from cancer. That's the only
Yeah.
time they think about it. But I published work, almost 20 years ago on how most diseases due to the buildup of cellular waste in your body. There's many different types because our lymphatic system, and I'll just show a little picture of your lymphatic system. That's your lymphatic system. That's just a good drawing of it, right? It's just a plumbing system that must clean us. And
Yeah.
we ignore this system. And it has one little vessel on either side of our neck, one tiny vessel on either side of your neck
It does
that
all of
must
the
handle
cleaning.
the waste and fluid
Yeah.
from thousands of lymph vessels, and we don't think about this. So we really need to open this up. And at the end, I'm going to show how to open this area up in two ways. We're going to do it by just placing our hand on our chest and people will feel it. And then by doing the lymph man shoulder shuffle. And these are things we need to learn how to do to
Yeah.
keep our lymphatic system going.
The most I knew is like lymph massage. I had a lymph massage back in the day, and then we all wanted to harder massages. But now that I worked with you, even after I did my session with you, I went and Googled lymph system. I wanted to visualize it. So he starts out with that. But what I would love for you to do too is share a little bit about how you got here, because John is a retired New York fireman, right? New York
Yeah, New
fire.
York City firefighter. Yes.
Yep, retired. And then you went and studied all this after you retired. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about how you
I've
got.
I've always had an interest in health, right? I was always into sports as a youngster. I was a medic in the army.
Oh,
I became a New York City firefighter. Love to help people. I hope you noticed that. I love to help people.
passion.
And this is the same thing. I'm helping people, but it's a little different, right? I'm teaching people about the lymphatic system. I knew nothing about it. And even when I was a lymphedema therapist, I took many extra hours becoming a lymphedema therapist. I really never took care of my own lymphatic system. I took care of my clients, right, who had anxiety, breast cancer, swelling, pain. Those are the things I did. And then one day, after feeling like I was getting cancer, I really told my wife, I'm feel like I'm sick. I was losing hair, my beard was falling out, my hair, my head was falling out, my hands would spasm, they would just drop glasses, my back would go out, and we own massage therapy clinics, right? And I was getting plenty of massages, but I was just so inflamed and toxic that everything I ate, anything I did, stress would just shut my body down. Restless leg syndrome, IBS for 30 years, and the worst thing was heart palpitations. If you ever had them, they're scary, right? And that shows you that you're getting toxic, right? When you start having all these health issues, and we can help all these things within 30 days. My life changed. My hair started filling back after a couple of months. I started losing weight. My IBS went away. It's been 17 years. I haven't had IBS. So all I did was maintain my lymphatic system. That's it. I just worked this system. I ate a little bit differently, which is I'm glad you're here because we need to learn about food. That's
Yep.
the biggest thing that people tell me all the time is that I just don't know what to eat, right? So we need to understand food to understand our lymphatic system. If we eat a standard American diet, we're congesting our lymphatic system. If we eat more fruits and vegetables and green leafy vegetables, fermented foods, we do much better, right? And I never had I never liked vegetables, but I become friendly with them. You know, you have to. I hated them. I never ate them. I ate Chinese food, which is fried food, white rice, and noodles. And then I'm
Oil.
half
That's
Italian, and
oil problem.
I ate pasta. You know, right?
Yeah.
I ate pasta, meatballs, and meat. And now I eat very differently. I still eat those things, right? I want to enjoy myself, but we have to realize that what we eat really affects every cell in your body. And that is my journey. I learned from three world-renowned doctors. So more than a massage therapist, I became diplomat certified in craniosacral therapy, meaning I work with the brain and spinal cord. It's a very gentle therapy. If you've ever tried it, it's wonderful. Learned from visceral manipulation from Dr. Burrell, a French physician, about releasing your organs. And why do we have to release the organs? Because when the lymph system isn't able to clean them, they either swell or constrict. So we need to know how to release them and open them. But really, by taking care of this one system, the lymphatic system, and I learned from Dr. Bruno Ciccoli, he's a pioneer. He wrote Theory and Practice of Lymph Drainage Therapy. That's your superficial lymphatic system. A monk drew that in the 1800s.
Wow.
And he's a pioneer, Dr. Ciccoli, where everybody really concentrates on cancer and edema, swelling, lymphedema. He really talks a lot about that, but he also says, hey, the lymphatic system cleans every system in your body. And that's where I got the idea that, well, if it cleans every system in the
Yeah.
body, then it must have to do with every disease.
And
And that's where I published my work 20 years ago on how most diseases due to buildup of cellular waste. And in the past few years, it took a little bit of time. Uh, Anxiety, depression, insomnia, arteriosclerosis, um, osteoarthritis, breast cancer, lung tumors, heart failure, MS, Parkinson's, Huntington's, ALS, and Alzheimer's, and have all been linked to the buildup of cellular waste. Even a severe case of menopause, which is very natural, right? Menopause is very natural, but a severe case of it has to do with cellular waste building in your body. So we have to become good at getting our lymphatic system flowing, and then we gain control over the cellular waste and inflammation. And a lot of our little problems, we start to manage them better so we don't even feel them.
do you think that we used to move more back in the day and now we're sitting so much? So like that's what I used to not feel as many little aches and pains, and plus that aging thing is sneaking in. But they linger longer and I sit longer. I'm working more at my computer longer too. So we have the toxic overload of the environment. We are sitting more, we're on technology more. And nutrition 101 is you're either malnourished or you're toxic. And if you're not getting nourishment, you can't detoxify. And if you can't detoxify, you aren't getting nourishment. That's it. That's like the bottom line. So when he brought up his lymph in his book, and I was like, we need to work on this deeper sewer system to help us move that, because if our organs aren't functioning well, there it is. I mean, it's one thing after another. The symptoms are just the cue that our organs aren't getting the nutrition they need and they're not moving out the toxins. So, and by the way, everyone, you're more than welcome to ask any questions, because this is here for you too. So if you want to ask them in the chat, I can read them and say them to John, or if you want to unmute yourself, that's totally fine too. And what do you think, John? Should we do one of your exercises and then,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah. Let's do the lymph man shoulder shuffle.
okay.
Remember, we have one little vessel on either side of your neck, right? One tiny vessel. And that's why we get so many thyroid issues. The first organ to go is the thyroid. And what does it do to thyroid? It swells or it becomes hyper or hypo, right? It becomes not functioning or too
Right.
much. And that's just the cells going crazy. So whether you've been on a thyroid med for a long time, you've had thyroid surgery, we need to open up this area right here, right where the major lymph vessels are. And we're going to do it with the lymph man shoulder shuffle. Once we open this area up, it opens your head, it opens your body. And I hope that you feel that, like what I feel, tingling in your body from doing this. So we sit straight. You keep your head straight. Don't make your head go back and forth. And if you have any neck pain, any neck surgeries, you're in discomfort, Do it very gently. Just lift one shoulder up, one shoulder down. One shoulder up, one shoulder down. Just stretch that area. And what that's doing is it's stretching the vessels right here, right? Because a lot of people will do this. And all that does is really go around it, the vessels. It's not really stretching it. So we just want to do this about 10 times, nice and slow. And then if you don't have any neck, and just doing that, I feel tingling in my legs. I feel some flow up my back. My back and my head's gotten itchy. And we just did that about 10 times and we hardly moved our shoulders, right? So take notice if you feel something, right? We want to look for little things. And it's about circulation. But if you don't have any pain in your shoulders, let's just put your hand on your lap and really pump it. Go up and down really fast, really fast. Don't be afraid, and do it about 10, 15 times. Take a deep breath. Oh man, I feel circulation in my body. And that took us about 20 seconds. And
I
that's
feel
what
like
we
I
need
had
to
a
do.
cup
You
of coffee.
feel, right?
Yeah,
You
I felt like I
feel
had
it
a
in
cup
your
of coffee.
body.
I felt a surge. And the thyroid, when I started as nutrition, no one had thyroid issues back when I started with nutrition 30 years ago. So I was like, what's going on? And when you just said that, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. It's that congestion there. So thank you.
The lymphatic system must complete circulation. That's one thing we're missing. We think about it for detoxification, but it must complete circulation. So if a small part of your body around your kidney or your liver or maybe a cell in your breast is not able to get cleaned by the lymph system, then waste just builds around that, becomes inflamed, and then that's where disease begins. It starts with one cell. So we have to get the lymph system going for no matter what stage of health we're in, whether we're just beginning to have a health problem or we're really having a severe health problem. We have to get our lymphatic system working.
And I was blessed to receive a session from you, and I feel like I had a full body physical massage, which we're going to talk about, and I feel like I'm still like sore, like I worked out, like it was exercise, even the shoulder, because I've been swimming a lot, and so my shoulders were starting to get because I wasn't completing my circulation, is what I just learned, and John's session. So tell us how you went from physically working on people to now more energy medicine, and how you're at first were a little bit not not certain on that.
Yeah, I began working with the lymph system long time ago. It took me about 7 years to realize that I was intuitive. Now, the doctors that I learned from all teach Dr. Upledger, Dr. Burrell, Dr. Chickley. They all teach something esoteric, how to feel lymph flow off the body or on the body, how to feel the craniosacral rhythm, how to feel the organs moving. But what really got me the most was when I was a New York City firefighter, my wife was having panic attacks. Her father had died as a fireman. Now I'm a fireman. So she had this fear that I was going to die.
Yeah.
And we saw these, years ago, instead of online, you would see a flyer with a tear off and you take one of those. And I saw this thing about, hey, come control your mind with the silver mind method. Many of you may have heard of the silver
I
mind method,
love the
right?
soul. Yeah.
Yeah, it's by Jose Silver. He's no longer be with us, but they're online. There are franchises around the country that
I'll
still
post it,
teach this.
everybody. I'll post it in our group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way. I again was a New York City firefighter. It helped my wife. I learned how to control my mind a little bit. It was a 2 weekend course, and by the end of it, we were guessing where people, well, guessing we were able to tell where people had health problems. Right, somebody would sit next to you, and they would think of somebody who would have a health problem, and you would guess. And we were amazed. We really used it a little bit after that. I didn't use it as a therapist because I wasn't a therapist. I was a firefighter and a contractor. And then when I started learning this work, I started picking up things very easily. About 7 years in, I was working with a client, uh, and I had already begun to sort of sense that I could feel lymph flow or intuitive to it. And she had had cancer. I've been working with her breast cancer for years, and I was working on her shoulders, and she was under a sheet, and something told me turn around, and I was ignoring it, and it said turn around, and I turned around, and I saw these iridescent lines through her leg and her glutes, and it was what we were taught. When I touched it, it was lymph flow. And it was only there for about 10 seconds, these iridescent lines, they were moving, and then I never saw it again. But since that time, I could see lymph flow. I know it sounds crazy, but I
Oh,
can see lymph flow in people as clear as day. I could just talk to you on the phone. I don't even have to see you. I could just tell you where you're backed up. And the first few years, it was just I could just see it in people. Oh, I would tell people, hey, do you know you have a congestion here? People thought I was crazy. So I didn't push that too much. And then as the years went on, about 3 years later, I started realizing that when I look at the lymph system, it moves. When I look at it long enough, it moves. And that's when I developed the same exact session called lymphatic that I do in my office, or did in my office, that I do energetically. I do the same thing. I rock you. I drain your lymph system. I open up your organs, open up your underarm. I drain your head. I work in your mouth. And people feel it. And people feel it from the first few minutes. I've been asking people, because typically they feel euphoric during it. They get very relaxed during it, which you felt. Even
Yes.
your dog, I think, got very relaxed,
She was on top
right?
of me. Yeah, she was
And
excited.
they feel it. And the thing is, they might have a little detox reaction, and then they start feeling a little better, because we're all living our life with our lymphatic system not working efficiently, not working optimally. And you could have had a fall, a trauma, intense trauma, emotional trauma. You could have had numerous surgeries. You could have COVID 3 or 4 times. People are having COVID vaccination, COVID booster 3, 4 times, and then 4 or 5 times again COVID. So all that creates excess cellular waste, which is going to devastate our health. So again, getting this system moving, whether we do it physically or energetically, but I can tell you, many people tell me that my energetic sessions are like a physical session. They feel, as you said, you
Oh,
feel
I
like you
feel it.
had
Yes,
waste move through you.
I did.
So if you're somebody who's stuck, you can't find a good therapist, you may want to try it. We are doing a special right now. Buy 1 hour, you get two 45-minute sessions,
Oh, good.
which is a great way. I record those for you, and then you can just basically listen to them, and they work. I don't see therapists. I listen to recordings I did on my wife, and I feel my flow open up. I feel more relaxed. Sometimes I even get cramps while I'm listening to it. So
And we'll post John's links either here. I'll post them both here and when I post the recordings on the multiple channels
and let
too.
me see, I put a few in here. Let me just put them up
Oh,
there.
thanks. I have them
I'm
on
going to
the
put them up.
be great.
I'll
And
put them
so energy, but I'm a clinical nutritionist, so science is my jam, science is his jam. And then I love emergency medicine and I love energy medicine. And then everything in between is more of our own self-awareness, I believe. Because if we hand our power over to be healed by others, then we're not practicing our own bodies. So it's not anti this or anti that. It's energy medicine, I believe, is the wave of our future. And it was the wave of the past, too. There's so many different cultures that use energy medicine. We're electrical beings. So when I had his distant session, for like a minute, I'd be like, oh, I wish it was in person. I was, because we all love physical touch and hugs, and but then when I settled in and opened up to it, I definitely feel like I had a physical session and went to bed, rested, drank tons of water and such. So, and what he's helping us do is our cellular change in our environment. So the cellular level, because we have toxic thoughts, we have toxic environment, we have nachos in our life. Who here loves nachos? Like, I mean, we're humans having this experience, and I just want us to have a joyful, more flowing experience. And here's John sharing lymph flow with us. So he put some links in there. Thank you so
And
much.
it's important to understand diet. It really is. I mean, until
Yes.
I really mastered, or I didn't master it, I just realized that, you can't eat the standard American diet and take supplements or medications and think you're going to get healthy. You're fighting it. If we could take a couple of supplements, eat healthier, wow, that's a a hit home run, when we do those things together. But it's just understanding people get frustrated. They don't know what to do, how to
Right.
eat.
Well, nutrition is a self-study because a lot of us in this 80s and 90s got brought up on extreme diets, the low fat to high fat to non-fat to only eat this. Remember the cabbage soup diet was out there. So like we've done this extreme and we're the unhealthiest that we've ever been, the most stressed. It's harder to be healthier than it used to be. And the age thing is with us too. But diet is a self-study. Also, I believe it's not, oh, this fits. I'm only going to eat this for the rest of my life. Cool. I don't meet many people like that.
But that would be pretty boring,
It
right?
would be
And there
very
are people
boring,
like that
very
who, I'm just
boring.
gonna have salmon every day and salad every day. That's all I'm eating, right? That I want a hot dog, I want a hamburger, I want some pasta once in a while. Do I have a steak once in a while? Yeah, but I have it like once every 3 months, right? Then I'm done, right?
Yeah.
So we can eat everything. We just have to understand what it does to our body.
Remember the steamed rice, steamed broccoli, chicken breast diet. And I swear I would try that every Monday. And by Wednesday, I'd be like, yeah, I can't do it. I need spice, I need flavor. So in my nutrition philosophy and company and programs is we use our taste buds. We learn to connect all of our organs because each taste bud is connected to an organ too. So when we're craving salty, it's our kidneys may need more extra love. So seaweed would be great. If we're craving bitter, it's maybe our digestion or our liver. Like each organ needs something. So we've been taught to deny that because our body doesn't know anything and our head does. It's opposite. Our body needs that flow too. So there might be a time you crave something that's off, like you don't usually crave it, and that might help your lymph flow too. What's your favorite foods that you've seen help people's lymph flow?
You know, it's really just eating a little less, right?
Oh, yeah.
Intermittent fasting is important. I'll give you some simple things. Intermittent fasting, I
Yep.
used to eat a big bowl of fruit. I mean, not a human bowl of fruit. I'd eat like 5 portions of fruit before I went to bed. And
Yeah.
then my body has to deal with that all night, right? So I love fruit, but you can't have, right before you go to bed. So we need to understand intermittent fasting so that our body can get rid of that waste. Some people go to bed, oh, I have to eat before I go to bed because otherwise I feel sick at night. I have to get up and I feel nauseous.
Yeah.
Well, that's because their body's starting to clean, right? They're so used to eating the standard American diet. If they don't eat it, their body starts to give up waste. And I'll give an example of that. I was talking to a man once. He looked like he was sick and he was drinking soda and had a coffee. And I said, you're drinking some water, flush the toxins out. He goes, oh, no, I can never drink water because when I drink water, I feel nauseous.
I would say I have a lot of clients that have that, which
And all he does is drink soda, coffee, beer. And so those things keep us toxic, right? So and you've had that happen to you, you drink a bunch of water and you feel nauseous afterwards because it's releasing waste. So we have to help our body to release waste. And it's really just eating more fruits and vegetables. I love broccoli. I don't eat a lot of spinach because it has oxalates, I believe in it. But I eat a lot of broccoli. I love green salads. I eat meat with it. Costco chicken, you can't beat that, $4.99, and just eat it with a salad. But I love vegetables. I have, instead of a plate like we grew up where I have one vegetable, one carbohydrate, and one protein. That's what we grew up with, right? That's what we should be eating. I have like 3, 4 vegetables and then maybe a little protein. Or some days in a row I'll just have vegetables and salads. Right.
yeah.
That's the way I clean up because I want to be able to eat regular food. I'm going to a movie later. I want to have some popcorn, even though it's not that healthy for you. So we have to be able to clean up a few days a week.
The more alkaline we become, the more we crave those things too. It's hard for some of my clients to switch over. So I personally don't do a structured intermittent fasting. It doesn't quite match my lifestyle, but in my nutrition program, I added a light day of eating for everybody. And I recommend minimum once a month or once a week if you're feeling brave. And that light day of eating is exactly this. It gives your body and the organs just a chance to, instead
Yeah.
of like, just kind of think of a washcloth, kind of squeeze everything out. And what it does with your relationship with food, it sees where you're at autopilot, like what your autopilot is. Like, oh, I should eat, even though you're not hungry at all. But we have so much mental and emotional energy around food. So the light day of eating is when I do I have it by itself. I'll put my link in there too. It's just a $29 cute program. And we practice it over in my membership too. The reason I didn't do structured so well, I felt like it was stressing me out. Like I'm like, okay, I can only eat from these hours to these hours, and then like life happens. Does
Yeah.
anybody else have life happen? But that light day of eating, you go, oh, it's noon and I'm not hungry yet today. Oh, I'm really just thirsty. You know what? I don't have a headache. I have great energy. Your body's giving you the support to try the light day of eating. And so I say up to 24 hours just to give all these organs a chance to go deeper into their cleansing. And then now with John's lymph information, adding the shoulder, what do you call it? Your lymph man
The
shoulder.
shoulder, lift man shoulder shuffle.
It's so good. Like I feel sore. Like,
Do it a
and
few times a day.
yeah.
At
Okay.
first, just do it once a day, then wait
Okay.
a day, see how you feel. Then as you start doing it, you can do it almost, a couple of times a day to open up your. And one other thing, let's teach how to sit straight. Posture is key. If
Posture.
we're
Yeah.
slouching, and you're right, we sit in front of a computer. I worked as a therapist. I worked 8 hours a day at least, sometimes 10 hours a day, 6 days a week seeing clients. I came home feeling like the Hulk. So if you're a therapist, we got to get rid of that acid right in your body from working all day. Now I sit in front of a computer or I sit in my chair doing energy work. That's what I do. So I don't even move anymore. So that's why I make sure I go to the gym. I went and walked the mountain this morning. So we have to make sure we're moving at all times because moving is what really opens up our body.
Wonderful. All right. I'm letting a couple people in here. Anybody have any questions or comments for John? I know a couple people here have some lymph issues or something specific. You can unmute or you can type in the chat.
So let's teach how to do the how
Oh,
to hold the
perfect. Thank you.
clavicles.
Let's do that
This
then.
this is really important. So we learned how to open it up the physically, and that really does allow flow. I mean, I just did that 3 times. I feel flow in my legs and my head, right? Just we have to do it more often. The next
Okay.
thing, if we're sitting watching TV, you're watching the computer, we can't sit with a slouch. If we sit with a little slouch, and most people, me and you, we've been on a computer doing courses.
Right.
You're on anybody else who's a course creator, you're on a computer
A lot.
all the time. So, and I know I was sitting and slouching all the time. My legs actually had rashes when I was writing my book a long time ago. And
Yeah.
once I realized I had to sit up straight, my rashes went away. So if we slouch a little bit, and most of us sit for a living, right? If we slouch a little bit all day, we're stopping our lymph system. We're just slowing it down by crimping it here. And there's a major vessel in our abdomen called the cisterna chyli that must drain the whole lower body, everything in the lower body. So if we slouch a little bit, we crimp that, and now our body starts to fill our hips, your pelvic region, your hips, your knees, and that's why we get inflammation and pain, a lot of pelvic pain. So if you have any pelvic problems or leg problems or lower body problems, we have to sit up straight. Be very aware of that. But while we're sitting straight, if we can just put our hands on your chest, right in the center of your chest, no pressure. If you put pressure while we're doing any of these things, you will stop the lymph flow. So I'm just resting my hand on my chest, thumb on one side, and it goes up on like the top 2/3 of it. We're not on the bottom of it, not on the top 2/3 of it. And then my 2 fingers are on the other side, right? And we're just holding it, no pressure. Try and make your hand a little more into the center of your body if you can. Yeah, there you go. And just
Right.
have your thumb on top, not on it, but a little bit on top of close on top of the clavicle. And just hold that. Already, it made me want to take a deep breath. I can feel flow up my back. So what we're doing is we're taking pressure off those little vessels and you'll feel flow. So if you're watching TV at night, sit straight, put a pillow under your elbow and keep your hand on your chest, right? You go to bed at night, put a sock with 3/4 of a cup of rice or a half a cup of rice in it, and you put it in a Ziploc bag into a small sock and you put it on your clavicles and you go to bed. And it actually is giving yourself a session. Every
Mm.
time we can open up our lymph system, we're opening up little blockages because it's in the microcirculation. My neck is getting all itchy. It's in the microcirculation where we have our problems, where we have limited circulation. So that's why we want to open the lymph system to complete circulation. And I don't know about you, I'm getting tingles in my back.
Like some
It's
pulsing.
relaxing. I want to take another deep breath. So if you're somebody with anxiety or somebody who gets stressed, your lymphatic system is shutting down, right? We need to learn ways to open it up. And lymph band shoulder shuffle and just holding it and deep breathing, right? How do we deep breathe? We take a deep breath in and we blow it out, right? That just made more tingles through my leg, heavy tingles, right? I felt circulation happen. Do it again.
Mm.
Wow, that's bringing blood flow to my head. I'm getting my nose is itchy. I'm feeling tingles in my head, right? We're creating life. And that's what the lymph system does. Our cells need complete circulation to bring oxygen, nutrition, and to get rid of their waste.
Yep.
And our
Our
lymph
lungs,
system
our
isn't
lungs
doing
are
that.
the major way that we get rid of waste, plus with the lymph then through the urine and bowel movements too,
Right.
correct?
Through your skin, through your liver, everywhere. It gets eliminated through the organ. Basically, my nose gets very itchy when I take a
Yeah.
few deep breaths.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right? Everybody. But it's just something we have to think of more often than once in a while, right?
Yeah.
I think of it every day. What can I do today to move my blood? What can I do? Some crunches, do some sit-ups, do some stretching, right? Simple things that we have to do a few times a day because our lymph system is always shutting down.
Mm.
And when it shuts down is when we feel our tightness, when we feel uncomfortable in our body, and we have to take steps at that point. Don't ignore it. I'll tell you a little story. The
Yeah.
last few times Eileen and I went to the movie, we go every couple of weeks. When I went to grab something, my popcorn or whatever, my arm spasmed. It actually spasmed. I was like, "What is that?" And I do have shoulder surgery. I fell as when I was on the job, and I hurt it, and I had surgery. They had to cut the bone off, twist and tie
Oh
it.
my.
Well, it failed my surgery. No one told me don't be active, so I've been very active, and so I have no ligaments in my shoulder, so it just hangs. and I keep it strong. But if I don't tape it up, I tape it up with KT tape. I feel it in my chest, my heart. So we really have to realize that circulation out of this area can bother us. So I have to be more aware of this area. If you've had trauma in your shoulders, you have to be more aware of making sure the shoulders are opening, because if you're congested here, then your whole body and your head suffers. So
Yep.
any type of upper
I
body trauma,
flow. Yeah.
yeah, it has to flow. It's a plumbing system, and it's not, right? It has to flow. Everything in the head has to flow down. If you had dental surgery, if you've had a lot of dental surgery, this congests a lot, right? If you had dental implants, people lose them in 2 or 3 years because the inflammation really never heals. We need to know how to drain our gums. We need to know how to drain under our tongue. But just holding your clavicles, and I'm going to teach you guys how to rinse your. Let's take direct control, because those other ways are just letting it happen. The lymph man shoulder shuffle is more direct, but let's just rinse the clavicles. So what you're going to do is, I like to cross my arms, right? You can, if you don't have two arms or that one is not working well, you can definitely do it individually. But I like to cross my arms, and then I put my fingertips against the trapezius. The trapezius is the muscle in the back. I'm not on top of it. I'm right, my fingertips are right up pushing against it. And then I'm going to slide down to the bottom of it, just slide down to the bottom, and you're like on the ledge, the bottom ledge of it. And then just pull forward, a little pull and pump to your clavicles. Use your arms, don't just use your fingers. Don't just do this. A lot of people just do this. That's okay, it works, but when you pull and you pull into your clavicles with your whole arm, ooh, and you're using those pumps, because a lot online, a lot of people do this when they work their nodes. They do
Yeah.
circular motions. I don't get that. It's a pump. It's a little ball. So we want to pump it. Just pump it. And I'm getting tingles throughout my body. You should feel tingles when we do this. And you do it about 10 times. Just before you go to bed, do the lymph man shoulder shuffle and do this. Just rinse. Your fingers end right on your clavicles, right on the back side of it. And if you're getting an anxiety attack, you're starting to get brain fog really bad, few things you should do is do the lymph man shoulder shuffle, take some deep breaths, and drain your clavicles. And you'll see it'll break that cycle. Because when we're having an anxiety attack, we're actually shutting down. Our lymph system is shutting down. That's why we can't
Ask you
breathe.
that. Is it fight, like when we go into fight, flight, freeze, our
Fight
lymph
or
system
flight.
shuts
That's
down
fight or
and we
flight.
can't.
I believe that all has to do with the lymph system shutting down, right? Meaning you're
I wish
getting more
you said that. I
aware of what's
caught
going
that.
on. Your brain's thinking different. You can't breathe. Your digestion stops, right?
You're in the
Why would
sympathetic.
everything, why would everything stop? Is because one system is not working, the lymph system. And people will say the vagus nerve, right? They will say, oh, the vagus nerve, the innervates the heart, the digestion. But to me, the vagus nerve is right where we just were. It's right where we just were. And
Connect
it's right
all.
next to the major lymph vessels.
Yes.
So it gets toxic first. And that's why it affects the other things. So draining, when you have a vagus nerve problem, stretching your shoulders, opening up this area and stretching down into this area will really make a great difference to help that vagus nerve.
And what was it again? Put like a little like bean bag on your chest?
Yeah, you put take a small Ziploc bag, put anywhere from a half to a three-quarters of a cup of rice, any grain, and
Yeah.
you put it into a small sock,
Oh,
and you put it right on your clavicles.
that feels
About a small 4-inch sock. You don't want to go all the way out, just about 4-inch sausage you make it look like.
okay.
And you just place it there and you relax. And you can even put your hands on your abdomen if you wanted to make it even better. Right at the base of your ribs. You put your thumbs over the base of your ribs and you just put your hands together. You put that sock up there and you're going to feel flow move through your body. It's like we're taking the pressure off these vessels.
Wow.
And I wanted to add something that what I like to do, and again, I love to eat. I ask my wife. We just had sushi. We went to revolving sushi where you go, you get sushi while they're working around this track. And most people eat 5. I eat like 15 plates, 10 plates. I'm a big eater. And that's why I don't like to eat 5 days a week. And now we have to eat, right? Some people will say, I just eat once a day, or I just have coffee. That's going to make you more sick, because your body's always turning to acid. Your body's, if you talk to somebody who has cancer, they say, John, I taste acid, I'm urinating acid, I'm poop, I feel it everywhere in my body. So we're always turning to acid. So if we don't eat and we think we're doing good by just eating one meal a day, your body's turning to acid, and most people are going to eat acid food during that meal, so they're going to just become acid. So
Hungry.
a couple of days a week, what I found works well for me is I eat just a little bit less.
Yep.
I eat a big salad. Maybe I'll try skip the protein and any grains, and I'll just have salads, vegetables, and sometimes I'll just have raw stuff. When I really want to clean up, I'll just have raw stuff for 3 days. What is it? It's just salads, some cucumbers. Sometimes I'll even put in some vinegar to make it like a Sunamono salad, and I'll live on that for a few days. Or I'll pick on grapes for a few days and then have some salad later. And
Yep.
this all comes from a lot of, you probably heard of him, Professor Ehret, Ehret, wrote a book in 1920, and it was the mucusless diet,
Cool. Mucus.
because people get a lot of mucus, right? The mucusless diet. And this is where a lot of my stuff comes from. And he would just have people eat grapes for a few days. Just, we have to give our body a chance. So you just eat grapes for a few days. And he met somebody in Germany who said, "Oh, your mucusless diet it has to do with acid alkaline balance,
Yeah.
right?"
Alkaline.
And that's what it's all about. So when our lymph system isn't working, we become acidic. When we get it working, first you're going to get more acidic because it's going to pull all that waste that's in your tissues into your blood, which is going to make it more toxic for a day or two. And that's why people online, there's all these people who show how to drain a full. I think that's dangerous, because if you have heart failure, if you have heart problems, you have a severe cancer or not feeling well, you go and just drain your whole body, you're not going to feel too good.
I I agree. Detoxifying too quickly is hard on everything. Our body wants balance and homeostasis, so gentler the better. In my nutrition program, I did used food combining, which is part of acid alkaline. So I have
Yeah,
4 meal types, and I
I think that's important.
all we tend to just do one meal type, which is the combined meal, meat and protein, starch and protein all the time. So I have us rotate those 4 meal types to give the body a break from always digesting so it can go detoxify too. And we have a great question from Regina. Can you talk about draining the brain?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. That's what if you go and you get my five
Oh
key
yeah.
steps to anxiety and brain fog, I really just posted new science, and I discuss it all about the brain. It really is, your brain is dependent on your lymphatic system. In 2015, now as therapists, we've always been taught that, hey, there are membranes around the brain that have lymphatic vessels. You know, they said there's no lymph vessels in the brain, but it's around the brain. So we use those vessels to help the brain. So I've always worked with autism, people with dementia and things, and it makes a difference. Uh, Now we know in 2015, we found lymphatic vessels in the brain, and they said this will change the face of mental illness. It's That was 2015. It's 9 years later. Nobody's talking about it. So if you want to learn about it, you have to take steps to learn about how to maintain your brain. And that's what I'm big on. I specialize in the brain. As a
Okay.
certified lymphedema therapist, I took many hundred of extra hours to drain people with swelling. Legs can get this big. And
Yeah.
I realized early on that insurance was not going to pay me to do that because I'm not a physical therapist. So that's when I was already learning the brain. And that's when I decided, well, I'll still work with cancer, but I'm not going to wrap, and I'm going to specialize in the brain. And that's where my practice got into more of autism developmentally, the delayed, people who couldn't think. And I'll tell you, let me tell you an experience that I had. One study I did. I did a lot of studies when I was realizing this, because I realized I know the root cause of disease. It's cellular waste building in your body because your lymphatic system is clone. But I realized that people were filling with waste, and I wanted to see what would happen when I drained them 3 days in a row with my lymph practice. It's just a lymph drainage therapy. I did the same thing to every person. And I didn't give people a chance to prep or anything. Now I know to get them prep. And I said, hey, come in for 3 days in a row. I want to see what happens. I had autistic children. I had people with cancer, people who couldn't think, people with pain. And it was amazing. It was hundreds of people I did. And what I saw was that the first day they would come in, I would activate their lymphatic system. They would feel great afterwards. A few hours later, as that waste got pulled out of their tissues and into their bloodstream, because it goes right into these veins, right into your heart again to go out into your organs, that they started feeling a little bit depression, a little bit anxious. Sometimes they
Yeah.
have a headache, little digestive issues. Really, fatigue was the biggest thing they felt. The next day, sometimes they would sleep okay the first night. The next day, they would come in, they would say, wow, I'm really fatigued. And, or, I said, okay, let's do another session. I would do the exact same session, nothing different. They would feel great afterwards again. I moved waste out. That night, almost every person did not sleep, had anxiety, even if they never had anxiety or depression. They had issues with digestion. Some people had to have somebody drive them because they couldn't think. I had a young a parent tell me their son, who I only worked on for 5 minutes, said he got catatonic the next day for about 5 minutes. He wouldn't move, he wouldn't think, he just shut down. And that's what happens when waste gets trapped in our brain, right? We
Wow.
see it in autism, and we see it in later on in life in seniors, and we see it too often in seniors. But I believe it all has to do with fluid and waste in the brain. With autism, they know that young children who have uh, more cerebrospinal fluid in their brain at early age, at 6 months old, they're going to have more autism. And anytime we see fluid in the body, whether it's cyst or in the brain, it's the lymph system. The lymph system must remove fluid. It's its major job to besides detoxification. But one thing that was really clear to me the next day, after people had those severe feelings, really, some people, I even had one Christian girl slap her husband, and she said, I don't know what happened, I slapped my husband. Don't use that in court if you hurt somebody, because it's not going to hold up. I was toxic. But the next day, they would come in saying, what was that? I feel like I have the flu. I felt horrible. I
Yep.
didn't sleep at all. I would drain them again, and they wouldn't feel sick again. They would just feel good. So it's
Yep.
that initial waste that's in us that's making us sick and toxic that we have to get out. I don't suggest you do it 3 days in a row unless you really have cleaned up for a few weeks. And that's what I do with all my programs. I don't believe in, because I deal with very sick people, very congested people, a lot of medications from anxiety or different things, pain. And we want to slowly get them to feel better. And then we'll do a little bit more of a detox. But the
Okay.
whole goal is to really what we can do every day. It's what we can do every day, not being perfect, because I am not
Starting
good at
here.
being perfect in my life. I will tell you that right now. I'm not one of these people who say, follow these things, but I'm going to do something different. I had to find something that I can do and teach people and do it, right? I don't want to be a fake person and say, hey, do these things because it's going to help you, but I'm going to do something else. I live my life because I want to enjoy myself, but I have to understand what foods, what activities, what things in my life stop my lymphatic system, then I can take then I could take steps to improve the lymphatic system, and then I gain more control. I gain an edge. And it's really about an edge. If you have cancer, if you have fibromyalgia, you have pain, you have anxiety, we want that edge. And that's what the lymphatic system and diet does, right? We have to include both those. We can't just take supplements or medications and expect to get well.
So hard being behind your body every day. Like you wake up exhausted, drained, and you didn't even do anything yet. You haven't slept good. So for Regina, you have your 5 steps for her. Can you talk about draining the brain? Do you recommend everybody just to start with the
Yeah.
shoulder
Yeah,
shrug
we have a
and
$67 course, right?
okay,
It may go up to 97 because it's jam packed. I really made it. I took my first lesson from my big course that's a little expensive, but and I'm changing it down. Instead of having one major course and having a Facebook group, and I was working way too much, I want to educate people, and they don't need to be with me for 6 months and be with me 5 days a week. All they
that
do is need my
understand.
information, and then they can change their whole life. So we're changing it up. I have a $67 course. We're midway through it right now. If you get on our list, we'll let you know when it's coming up. And it's 4 weeks, 4 weeks of
That's the
we
brain
teach you
one.
how to well,
That's
we teach you how to drain the whole upper body,
okay.
the whole routine to drain the whole upper body. Inside the mouth, we even learn 2 places, and the gums, because if you have implants or you have dental work, we need to know how to drain the gums.
Okay.
So it really is, it's more than what's in my first lesson. Trust me. I really made it packed because I want people to say, wow, I feel so much better. And that's what I'm getting. People are just like, first of all, how come we don't know this information?
Right.
And I even once had to go to a heart doctor when I noticed my shoulder was failed by repair, and I was your heart actually drains to your left side to your lymph system. So if
Yep.
your left shoulder's bad, your heart's going to fill with waste. And I thought I was having a heart attack for a few weeks, and they put me on gabapentin, which is the worst thing in the world. Made it worse. And once they told me, I went to the hospital. They said, "You no, we don't see anything going on." I decided to drain myself. And it went away. My pain. So again, we want to find out what's wrong with us. We want to make sure there's nothing serious going on. Either way, we would still have to take care of our lymphatic system, but how we address it, being slow, not doing too much at first, is the major thing. But it's really everything.
I have 2 more questions here.
All
So
right.
thoughts, I know there's a couple people that thoughts about leg, ankle, feet swelling and lymph. So I know there's a couple people here that are working with the swelling in the legs.
Yes. Most people, when they concentrate on the leg swelling, what do they concentrate on? The legs. Even with pneumatic pumping, they just have pumps on their legs. Well, if we don't open up the upper body And that's where my $67 course is
Okay.
even important. It might be $97, but it will open up your lower body. So one thing I want you to start doing if you have lower body problems is lymph man shoulder shuffle a few times a day, straighten up, maybe stretch backwards to open up the lymphatics in the abdomen, right? Because when we stretch backwards, what are we doing? When we stretch backwards, we're opening the lymphatics in the stretch and the abdomen, which go all the way down into the pelvis and legs. So we have to include the upper body to help the lower body. But I will have another course hopefully soon that will help us drain the whole body. But
Okay.
my goal is to eventually teach uh, energy workers because there are a lot of people teaching how to drain nowadays, too many of them. So my goal, I'm an intuitive, I'm going to teach other energy workers how to work with the lymph system in their practice because it will make them separate them from other people, right? Because they'll be doing something a little bit be different, more advanced. But that's coming up. That take me a couple of months.
Okay. Okay. And for them to
So
start with their ankle and legs, just start with the upper body because the flow goes both ways. That was my favorite takeaway is how it's our
no, the flow goes one way.
Oh, I thought it went both ways. Oh, tell me more.
No, all the lymph in your body, everything has to go up to your neck. In your head, everything has to go down. So
Okay.
your
Okay.
lymph system is a one-way river. Where your circulation is a loop, heart, arteries, vein. Your lymph system really just starts at your knee, your calf, your breast, your shoulder, and has to work to this area, no matter where it is.
Well, I
And
thought
then
it
it gets,
was way
huh?
on ours, and I was like, wow, I always thought it was one way. So okay, good. I misunderstood, so I'm so glad
All
you.
right. And if you're a person who walks and you get a little swelling in your body or you get a little winded,
Yes, that was our other
that to
question.
me that's a sign they would say it's a heart problem because in our work if someone's going to get a very go get a lymph drainage therapy from a therapist they should make sure they can walk up a flight of steps without getting the winded 15 steps right we need to be able to walk our heart has to handle all that waste goes into the lymph system comes up into your neck goes into the subclavian vein goes right back into your heart again all that toxicity. So your
Wow.
heart has to be able to handle that waste. So as long as you can walk up a flight of steps, you can handle it. I would definitely open your shoulders more because if you can't breathe, a lot of times we go out for a walk, we're pulling this waste into our system, but our lymph system is backed up. So before you do any exercise, anything, right? Do the lymph man shoulder shuffle.
And plus, for like diabetes, you get shoulder pain in both of
Yeah,
your shoulders. But for
that the
sugar,
diabetes
that's buildup. That's sugar
makes
buildup.
makes
Sure.
us acidic. That's
Yep.
it. It's all about acid in the body, right? We just don't acknowledge that. The first time I learned about acid, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm acidic. Big deal." I didn't know it was killing me. It was stopping my lymphatic system. So when we're acidic, your blood vessels and microcirculation constrict. And I can actually feel that in people in their sessions. I can see that their big vessels are flowing, but their microcirculation doesn't flow as well. My sessions are really unbelievable, as you
I
have testified.
It was it was a game changer for me. We lost a love both of us lost a dear friend that we met through this weekend, and it was the perfect timing that he did the session both emotionally and physically because I've been swimming a lot, and now I can already tell that my swimming is going to be improved just by taking a break and helping my lymph catch up with some of the acidic areas. And so, yeah, I highly recommend it. So, um, we have both of our information in the chats here to head to our websites. And then did we answer all your questions there? And that cellular waste buildup? I think you got Regina's
I
question.
believe we did. I believe we did. So just start thinking of the lymph system a little more. Think of your diet, right? You have to. You can't just ignore your diet, and you'll see your life will change. Just start thinking. I ask people in my course, how much time do you spend on your body? They say 15 to 20 minutes a day, just thinking about it, eating a little differently, and doing some drainage
Yeah.
techniques.
Yeah.
Right? It's just what can we do a few times a day to move our lymph system? Deep breathing, shoulder shuffle, hold your clavicles, stretch a little bit, right? I love yoga. But the biggest thing is watch your posture.
Yeah.
Watch your posture.
Yep. Wow. Well, I learned a lot. I'm so glad to have you. And if you all need any more support, you know where to find us. I have a live 4-week program coming up next month, the month of March, where we kind of just tune in. I'm keeping it so simple. Week 1, we do less combined meals. Week 2, we reduce some inflammatory foods. Week 3, we try a light day of eating. And then I have courses that go on their own also. And John has his individual courses. And what was it again? 2 by 2 for price of
Oh,
one.
for my the distance sessions, buy two and you'll get buy one and you'll
One,
get
sorry,
two
2.
45-minute sessions.
Okay.
that way, because getting 1 session is nice, but I feel people need 2, and most people feel a difference from that first session because it's just not working, and we get it working, we feel different.
And do you recommend 2 within a month or 2?
No, my work is best when done consecutively, meaning we do
Oh,
it once, I open up your lymph system, we open up those blockages, why wait a month? Let's do it in, 4 or 5 days.
okay.
And then you have the recordings to listen to, and then you can do those every 2 or 3 days.
Oh, I just love that the leg stagnation and swelling is all coming back this way. I mean, isn't that our bodies are so smart and we just get to practice and play with them and not against them.
That's the truth.
Awesome, John. I so appreciate you and I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. And I will be posting this with more of our information on all that social media jazz too. All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye. Thanks so much.